Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Ponte, and good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 10 of our 14-day Buddhist practice during the COVID-19 pandemic. As always with our daily practice, Ponte is going to lead us off with the Five Remembrances.
Thank you, Eller. So I'm going to sound the bell and then I'll recite the Five Remembrances. I am subject to aging. There is no way to avoid aging. I am subject to ill health. There is no way to avoid illness. I am going to die. There's no way to avoid death. Everyone and everything that I love will change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My only true possessions are my actions. I cannot escape their consequences. All right, Alan, you can take it away.
All right, thank you. So today I mentioned was day 10. So we're going to be talking about no harm today. And our scripture is, harassing not others, those who seek happiness gain their own happiness hereafter. So as Buddhists, we take, as laypersons, we take 5 precepts, 5 rules we take as a layperson. Now, monastic like Bhante will take a lot more, I think hundreds more compared to what we actually take. And so these precepts or rules are not there to, uh, be mean to us or tell us what you can or can't do this. It's there to help us uh, progress on the path. And that's really what they're for. And even for volunteers monastic, all those precepts, all those rules are there to help them as well. So they're not a negative thing, they're an extremely positive thing. So what we're talking about today, and let me go over those 5 precepts real quick. So we refrain from killing, harming, or violating others, refrain from stealing or taking what is not ours, we refrain from sexual misconduct, we refrain from lying, gossip, or harsh speech, and we refrain from intoxicants or stimulants. So what we're talking about today is basically going to be the first 2. So when we first, kind of put this, planner together, if you all kind of remember months ago, people were just taking, toilet paper. They were upping their, like from 30 days to like 60 days of medications. Some people were, stockpiling like possible medications that might help, which were actually impacting other people who actually need it for their daily regimen, that they actually had medical conditions. And so we were kind of seeing this ripple effect. We have this just-in-time, replenishment to our, grocery stores, department stores, etc., where people didn't actually have what they needed, for true medical conditions, like a recurring chronic medical condition or something like that. And so it was affecting people. And it could have, I don't think either one of us knows the statistics. It might have killed people, might have harmed people. We don't really know that, but it was actually impacting people. And so we've been through this pandemic for a couple of months now, but it's still very present. We're going into another, at the time of this, into another round of lockdowns in various states. So we got to kind of think about that as well too. Are we harming people? And when we're doing that, is it actually going to be affecting people in a very negative way? And there's kind of like three ways we can kind of focus on that. We can recognize, develop, and see. So we want to recognize, what are we doing? So are we buying something? Are we, doing something out of like, fear, or we want to control, the situation, and I think we kind of saw that especially in the beginning. And when we do the five remembrances, this is helping us to remember. The five remembrances are helping us confront our fears so we can transform them. We're going to kind of develop insight, and we're going to do that through meditation and through mindfulness to see like how our actions might be impacting others. And that's not always, easy to do. Like, well, I just, I love using a toilet paper example. I need this toilet paper, right? Maybe it's the last one, but do I really need it if I already have like two gigantic rolls at home? No. So there's, you got to really factor in, are we doing it out of, fear and control, or is there like a true need for it? And then we want to kind of see if we can help those in need. I think that's a compassion is so big inside Buddhism, because that's something that as sentient beings, through our delusion, that we usually don't have. We have this clinging craving that's resulting in dukkha, but we're not usually expressing compassion. So to have an elderly neighbor, yes, somebody that's in need, they may have like a medical condition, for example, that you can help. You can run to the store and get them something. And I think, especially during the beginning, people were not, donating blood, during the beginning of the pandemic, right? I think that's kind of, resolved itself to a large degree. But we've also seen people who have had, COVID-19 already. They usually have antibodies inside their blood, and they're being recommended to go to like blood banks and to donate. And if you kind of think about that, that's helping with this no harm concept as well too. You can actually be saving a life by just donating blood if you've already had COVID-19. Now, I don't know all the scientific, portions of it, but they're saying they can test for that. They can use that, like, oh, you got antibodies. I can do some plasma out of it. So there's different things that we can do to kind of show no harm. And I think the general concept of this day is really to kind of open your eyes to our daily actions and encounters. We're usually, and I mentioned this maybe a few days ago, we're kind of walking around like zombies a lot of times, or asleep. We're not really aware of what we're actually doing. It sounds weird, like, well, I got my eyes open, I'm thinking about things, but we're not really. We got kind of like this delusion that's kind of over us. Our perceptions, our feelings, whatever, they're all these conditioned things which may not be actually true that we're actually seeing. So our Buddhist practice is helping us kind of break down this delusion, so we can act by doing no harm, by showing compassion and helping others. So kind of think about that, for today, and throughout your practice, that you know we want to be careful of our actions. We want to do it out of compassion and loving kindness and mindfulness. And when we do that, we are definitely walking in a path of, the Buddha, and all the aligned disciples and bodhisattvas. Bhante, do you have anything you want to maybe add on this?
Yes, thank you, Alan. On one occasion, a person came to the Buddha and he said, Bante, that was also what they would call the Buddha in those times. There's too many rules. It's too difficult to keep track of all these things I shouldn't do. So I can't practice anymore. I'm just going to give up. And the Buddha said, can you follow 3 rules then? And the person said, oh, 3 rules, that's easy. Yeah, anyone can follow 3 rules. I'll do 3 rules then. The Buddha said, okay. And I'll say it in Pali first. Sabe papasa akaranam kusalase upasampada sachitte pariyodapanam etam buddha nusasanam. First part, sabe papasa akaranam. First rule, do no harm, do no evil, do no bad. Second rule, do good. Third rule, cultivate or develop the mind. This is the teaching of all the Buddhas, right? So right in the beginning here, when when the Buddha is kind of put in a position where he has to make it very brief, right? Put all the Dharma into three lines. He starts off with no harm, right? Then meditation's at the end. That's the higher training. So really, no harm is the basis, because out of no harm comes selflessness. You start cultivating that selfless mind, right? Instead of doing what you want to do for yourself, what's best for you, you start thinking, oh, I should do what's best for others. Um, as Alan mentioned, the monks have more rules, and these rules are not just so we can be all uptight and stuff like that. All these extra rules for the monks were created so they can live in harmony, to avoid conflicts, actually, to avoid arguments. Um, so that's also no harm. Um, and then also, no harm is, we have to remember that we're included in that too. So we shouldn't harm ourselves either. If we know that something's going to hurt us, uh, then we have to avoid that too. So I think we can, kind of bring everything that we've learned so far into it. First, the right view. Very important, right? There is suffering and the cause of suffering. Recognizing that avoids harm to oneself and to others. Then the right intention, which is an intention of renunciation, letting go, not being greedy. Um, also the intention of loving kindness and the intention of compassion. Those are no harm intentions. Then we have the next three steps of the Eightfold Path, which is right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Those are specifically based on not harming others. Then we have the right effort, which is protecting your senses from things that are going to harm you, unwholesome thoughts, removing unwholesome thoughts, which are things that harm you, cultivating wholesome thoughts, which are things that protect you from being harmed, and maintaining the wholesome thoughts, which also protect you from harming yourself with those unwholesome thoughts. Then we have right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is also a protection. It protects you from unwholesome states arising and being able to recognize them and remove them when they're there. And then right concentration is the practice of no unwholesome thoughts or no harm in the mind. So here we can see, if we look at the whole path, we can find no harm in the whole Eightfold Path. So this is really, really, really important practice. And no harm also means, very subtle things, not letting cruel thoughts, angry thoughts, greedy thoughts. It is our greedy thoughts that have brought so much ecological damage to the world. It's causing harm. So we also have to be careful of that too. So, I mean, no harm, such a basic principle to Buddhism, and such a broad topic that we can expand on in so many ways. But I just want to kind of give you these examples. And most importantly, the first one, when the Buddha was asked to say something about the Dharma, he started off with no harm, not doing the bad, avoiding the bad. So just keep that in mind as we go along. And then I believe tomorrow we're going to really dig deeper into it, the next step, how you can actually go about training yourself to do no harm. So I think it's time for the meditation now. Very well. So we're going to continue with our practice of uh, breathing meditation, anapanasati. And just, no instructions today. I've shared many tools with you, and whatever works for you, go ahead and take that and use it. And just remember that when the mind becomes distracted, or just bring it back to your meditation, right? Just bring it back to your object of meditation, whatever you're doing, without criticizing yourself, and noticing what's happening in every moment of experience. Although we're focusing on the breath, notice on every sensation, every emotion, every thought, every little thing, being aware. Is this wholesome or unwholesome? It's very important. You don't really have to do anything about it at this level, but just being aware of what's going on in your experience. Very well. I'm going to hit the bell and we can practice breathing meditation. So now that your mind is calm, body is relaxed, you can bless yourself with your calm mind. Also, by the power of this wholesome action, may you be free from immature company, and may you always have good companions until you realize Nibbana. Okay, is there anything else, Alan?
All I'd like to say is that look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and everybody else. It's going to be a great topic.
All right, everyone. May you be well, happy, comfortable, and peaceful. Bye-bye.